perhaps emblematic of other Western economies, a deep dive in what's going on in Britain. Let's look at the data. Hello, this is ChartGPT today. We like to feature different countries to see what's going on in the global economy. Now we're going to take a look at the UK or British on there to see how they're doing. And of course, I do think it's emblematic. So what's going on there, you can probably extrapolate across many other Western so-called democracies. So let's get into the detail. The first thing we have up here, kind of going through a series of charts, and we'll give you what the direction is at the end of the video here, is that the gross domestic product is zero. It's near zero. I think it's 0.2 or something like that. It kind of fluctuates above and below. Basically, we have the growth in the UK economy is near zero. It's neither growing or collapsing. We had that little kind of a blip there, COVID down, COVID up, and then with its return to its trend line, which is near zero. So there's no growth in terms of economic capacity, and it looks like that looks to continue. However, at the same time, you have to look at the inflation. The inflation has been a little bit more steeper. The shocking food UK is near 6%, got as high as 20%. And of course, the core, what they call core X food and energy, it's up around, it's still high, up around 7%. Motor fuels, a lot of people think, oh, it's the gas prices causing the prices to go up. Sorry to say, that's not something we believe here. But we've had many videos on that before. And of course, but here's the thing: the services CPI is going up. So the CPI, or the inflation rate, is extended. It may be coming off a little bit. I know the Bank of England have raised rates, but very little effect. So as you get zero GDP growth, you're obviously getting the CPI, which is horrifying to the average person in the UK, depending on where you sit in the economy. Here's your unemployment. It's not falling off a cliff. You can get jobs. So the jobs are there. However, if you look at this next chart here, it had a little blip here. You kind of have to ignore these COVID blips, and it's come up just a wee bit recently. But you're losing ground on this. The most wages are not keeping pace with the inflation rate. And then look at the taxes to respond to that. Governments need more money, so the percent of GDP is up to 35%. And then you look at the government debt to GDP, it's approaching that 100 mark. And of course, I always say once you get over 100, things don't look good for the country, and especially with rising interest rates, this becomes a negative feedback loop, which basically causes the governments have to spend a lot more money on credit. And you can see here the credit is just rising, starting to rise, and that probably will pick up the speed there. What they have, their 10 years at 4.75, and of course the U.S. is 4.25, and so that's made them higher interest rates, but the currency is debasing quicker. A quick look at the PMI, is Purchasing Manufacturing Index, usually a 6 months lead. These are leading indicators, and we can see on the services side, which UK has a lot of, it's about flatlining. And on the manufacturing, it is below the 50 mark, because anything below the 50 mark is considered contraction. So the future, even in the next 6 months, is flat to slightly downward. And of course, here's a kind of a long view for the traders here. It's a weekly chart, but you take a long view, you can see we've been in this down slope for quite some time since the crash of 2008. And I think we hit a peak here. I think we're going to trade sideways. The economy is basically going nowhere, and people are getting jobs that are questionable with lower pay. And of course, this is what they say is this kind of stagflationary event. And it kind of describes a lot of Western economies. So what's the future of Britain? Well, they're returning to serfdom. The rich are getting richer, and the poor are getting poorer. If you're on fixed income, don't own a house, you're going to get poorer. And this is the unfortunate future for not just the Britons, but it's globally Western economy. Of course, it will reach a breaking point. I'm not sure when that breaking point will be, but it's coming. So, as some people call it, the Great Reset, and it will happen one day. We asked the AI what its opinion on what some of the factors for Britain would be. You can read that in the post link in the description box, and give us your take. Is the future bright for the UK economy or not? Let's take our online poll for that. Don't forget to subscribe.